the feeling of the love of Allah Azza wa Jal. Two different matters, not the same thing. It was his evil nafs inside him. So in one sentence, what is shaitan's path? Shaitan's path is to do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Whatever the nafs wants is doing whatever you want. So you are following the nafs completely. This one sentence is shaitan's path. So the person who does this, does whatever they want, they are on shaitan's path. Never mind the opposite of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is on the perfection of character. He is on perfection. The person who follows their desires, they are on not shaitan's path, but they are on the nafs's path, because shaitan was on nafs's path. So just imagine that it's like shaitan is taking you to nafs, like the shaykh takes you to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Shaitan is taking you to the nafs. So the nafs is a higher level, higher enemy, and the most difficult enemy to fight. And it's mentioned, the Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioned that when they came back from a war expedition, they said, we have returned from the minor jihad to the major jihad. Because in the minor jihad you're fighting people. It's not hard. You're fighting other people. This is easy, really. And many of us would think that fighting others is a hard thing, but fighting others is easy compared to fighting your own evil desire inside. So the person who, and again another one, the Prophet also mentioned that strong is not the one who puts another down in wrestling. Strong is the one who fights, controls his anger when he's angry. In other words, he's controlling his nafs from being unleashed. So this, what you're learning about today, is your ultimate enemy. And that ultimate enemy is inside me and you, every single one of us. We have this. So you should listen carefully, because you will not only be learning about the enemy, but also how to fight it and how to deceive the nafs. The nafs will want to deceive you, and you need to learn how to deceive it. So inshallah, these are some of the things which we go through, the main objectives, that to understand the nature of the nafs, understand its nature, what is it, where is it, and this type of thing. Number two, to become aware of its deceptions and its techniques. So become aware of these matters. Only when you become aware of them can you prevent yourself being deceived. If you saw a person, an old woman is wearing a mask of a young woman, and when you are aware that this is really a deception, that she is deceiving me, you will not go near her, because you know that she is just deceiving you, she is inviting you to something, but then will show the true reality. And then finally, to begin practical steps to purifying it. If we just want to listen for the enjoyment, then your nafs is enjoying listening to its own story. So if you don't practice anything, don't take any steps to purify it, the nafs is enjoying inside you, it's enjoying hearing its own story. And what good will that do but only grow it, make it stronger. So you're not listening to enjoy, you're listening to take steps against it and purify it. So I'm going to go through about 28, maybe more, points regarding the nafs one by one, so you can have all of them in one go. And some of you will take some more than others, some will take less. Whatever you take, inshallah, remember it. And in there are many, many, many solutions for many, many, many problems. So let's begin then, inshallah. Bismillah. Point number one is this nafs inside you, it does not have a mind. So it does not have a mind. So who is it that has the mind? Hazrat Sahib actually mentioned it in their discourse, that you have the intellect. Now to understand this, you need to know what the human being is made up of. If you do not understand what the human being is made up of, you will become confused. Which part is this? Who's thinking this? Where's this coming from? Where did this thought go? And where did it come? So you have four main parts. You have the body, and you all see the body. You have your mind, your intellect, you have your heart, and you have the spirit. Now, from these, which is you? From these four, which is you? Who can tell me? Are you the body? Are you the heart, the mind, or the spirit? So Brother Naveed. Yes, mashallah. So you are the spirit. And the spirit uses the other three. It uses the intellect, it uses the heart, and it uses the body. So for example, my hand now, there's no way that this hand could disobey my spirit. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the spirit full command over the body. If I say to the hand raise, it raises. If I say lower, it lowers. This is like, without any similarity, the angels are under the direct command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if Allah commands anything, they have to do it, they can never go against. So your body cannot go against your spirit in this way. But you are not the body. The body is a tool for you that you use. So is the mind. And what does the mind do? The body has the power to, the hand can touch, carry, and do many things. The eyes can see, ears can hear, the stomach can eat and digest food, the feet can walk. They all have their faculty. Similarly, the mind has its faculty, its use, its power. And what is the power of the mind? It is the power of reason, the power of deciding what is good and what is bad. So this is the power of the mind, but you are not the mind. You are not your mind, you are the spirit. And similarly, the heart has its faculties and its powers as well. And again, the spirit uses the heart. But there is something else in you as well, something else is there inside you. And that is the nafs. And that is this entity which inshallah will come to other points. This is also inside you, but you should know, just like the body is not you, the mind is not you, the heart is not you, you are the spirit. Similarly, the nafs is not you. But the nafs comes with many other things that it has, and it comes with its desires, it comes with its passion, and you feel them as well. But the first thing to know is that that mind that is in there, that mind is your mind, it's your intellect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to you to use to reason between good and bad. And the nafs will also want to use this mind in its own way. So the first thing I want you to understand is from here, as I've already touched upon other points, is that the nafs does not have a mind. It does not think. It doesn't think. You are the one who thinks. You're listening now, you're thinking. The nafs will whisper into your mind, but it does not think. It doesn't have a mind. You have the mind. You have the ability to remember the past, the future, the present, to plan, to decide what you're going to do. You are the decision maker. You have the mind. You use it, and the nafs only wants to take a part in it, but you are the one who gives the nafs the power to use the mind or not. Ultimately, you are the decision maker. Now, this is one of the most important points, that the nafs is not you, you are the spirit, which I've already mentioned, that you are the spirit, you are the soul, and the soul is pure. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it from the light of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so it's made from a wonderful creation itself. You are the spirit, and the spirit was created pure. But the nafs was also placed inside you as you came into this world. And the nafs, when you were born, you were also pure. It was also a pure being. It was not evil as such. It didn't incline towards evil. But because it doesn't have a mind, it only has desires. It just wants, give me this, give me this, give me this. So, and you have to train it, but inshallah we'll come to that. But you are not the nafs. And so now on this one point, you should realize that there are many people in the world that the nafs has its greatest deception upon them. The greatest deception of this nafs inside you is to make you think, I am you and you are me. You are it and it is you. So if you are like this, that I am one person, there is no one else inside me, there's nobody in me that incites me towards evil, that is me. Then now what happens to these people is the nafs is telling them the most evil things that you could possibly imagine. And they are thinking, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Why am I thinking such evil things? Why am I desiring such heinous sins? what is wrong with me? I have to leave this good company. I need to leave these people because I am evil inside. Then what does this person do? The easiest example to use is on this point, and you can see such a powerful, huge deception it has upon mankind, is people who are homosexuals or lesbian, gay, the nafs, have you never heard them say that they were born like this? Many of them say this, that we were born like this. The nafs inside them is telling them, make an excuse, that you do not fight this. The nafs likes this way. The nafs desires this and it likes this way. And the nafs has deceived the person into thinking that you are me and I am you, and we were born like this, so there's nothing wrong with it. And there are Muslims in the Muslim world that this disease has come across them now. But the best thing for them to know, the first solution for them to just know this, that you are not the one who is gay, you are not the one who is lesbian, you are not homosexual. That is your nafs inside you, that is. The nafs inside the person has this desire. And that, as soon as they're told that you are not the one with this disease, they can begin the process of being cured. Because let me show you where they've gone. Where have they gone to the other side? The nafs has taken them to such a side that they have embraced it. Because have you never heard them say that they have their day to come out? They call it coming out. And there are Muslims like this as well. Last year at Tikaf, I spoke to a brother who has friends who are like this, and he then inshallah was helping them in this matter. So they have their coming out. What does this mean? That many years they were hiding. For many, many years they were hiding it. And when they were hiding this, it can happen with any disease. Never mind this one, this is an easy one to understand. It can be with pornography. It can be with alcohol. It can be with illegitimate relationships. It can be with even music. That a person is hiding this sin from everyone. And why do you hide a sin? Because you are guilty. This is a bad thing. This is an evil thing I'm doing. And you hide it because you are guilty. So your conscience, your intellect knows this was bad. But the nafs has deceived you so much that it is telling you, just hide it. But now the next level of hiding is, don't go through this guilt. Because the nafs is feeling pain as well. When you are feeling guilty, your nafs feels guilty as well. When you're feeling the pain of remorse, the nafs is feeling the pain of remorse as well. So now the nafs doesn't like this feeling of remorse and guilt. So what does it tell you? I am you and you are me. I don't like this feeling of guilt. So now embrace the feeling. It's okay. It's okay to do pornography. It's okay to be gay. It's okay to listen to this, the music, and it's okay to look at na-mahram. It's okay to think evil thoughts. The nafs begins to tell you it's okay. And because you don't know that there's someone else inside you, you are telling yourself, it's okay. I may as well embrace the sin, I may as well become one with it. So look at how far the nafs has taken. And this is what has happened with shaitan, that the nafs has taken him to such an extent, he now is one with his evil nafs. His nafs is telling him, become one with your arrogance. Do not feel guilty about it. Do not feel remorse about this arrogance and this jealousy towards Hazrat Adam. It's okay. So he no longer feels the pain of jealousy. He doesn't feel the pain of jealousy. Imagine, jealousy is such a torturous disease. It can destroy a person's 24 hours a day, every day. Because they are constantly thinking, I should have this, he shouldn't have this, I should have this. All the time. Shaitan was going through so much torture regarding this, that he embraced it. He embraced the jealousy, he embraced the arrogance, the pride. And he said, I am one with them, because I cannot take the torture of them. So he became one with his nafs, and his nafs has fully dominated him. So you see the nafs becomes one with you. It doesn't mean that you are one and the same. You are never one and the same being. It means that it has deceived you so much that you have embraced it. Why did you embrace it? Just so you don't feel the pain of that feeling. But the truth is, you will always feel the pain, because it will go from one sin, one disease to another, and to another. So the first solution for you today is realize you are not the nafs. Tell yourself this, tell your nafs, I am not the nafs. The nafs is something else inside me. And speak against it, speak to it. All the mashayikh in the past and the present, they speak against their nafs and they tell it, how dare you? You are not me, and you are the enemy. You are my enemy. My shaykh, my teacher is my friend, and you are my enemy. So, and admonish it. If it wants to look at something, then you tell it off. But now I did tell you in the first thing, didn't I, that the nafs doesn't have a mind. So the question you should be thinking, why admonish the nafs then? Why should we admonish the nafs if it doesn't have a mind? If you tell a child off, the child is a baby, people will say, why are you telling the baby off? The baby doesn't understand. But the answer is that by you telling the nafs off, you are actually reminding yourself. You are actually reminding yourself. So this is, you can be your own good company. If you tell yourself off, the nafs will not understand, but you are reminding yourself. So moving on, this is the biggest deception. It's been mentioned at point number 3. The biggest deception of the nafs is that it makes you think you are it, and it is you. So I mentioned this one. You are it, it is you. So the person looks in the mirror, they see themselves, but really it's something else in them. So sometimes the mashayikh, when they admonish the person, they are not speaking to the person, but they are speaking to the nafs. They're speaking because they know that this person is overwhelmed by his desires now. I'm not telling him off, I'm telling his nafs off, and the nafs feels it. So when the mashayikh admonish you, be happy, be very, very happy that admonition, my nafs needed it and it got it. It was the medicine. And if you retaliate to the mashayikh, then all you have really done is you've chosen the nafs inside you over the shaykh, and like this you can never become purified, never. So when the mashayikh admonish you, be happy, this is a cure for you, this is a medicine for you, because the disease, the nafs inside you needs this admonition. So do not become deceived by it. So I've explained this one, inshallah. If you give in to the nafs just once, this is a good news for you. If you give in to the nafs just once, it does not mean you have lost the war, you have only lost one battle. So this one person, I mentioned last time that all day he's fasting and he's trying his best. Then at iftari time, they have an argument with the brother. The two brothers, they have an argument. And one swears and he thinks, I've lost everything. I've given into this nafs today. I've lost my fast. I may as well not pray Taraweeh. I'm not going to fast tomorrow. And these things. You lose the battle to the nafs once, you've only lost one battle, you've not lost the war. So do you really think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such that one sin, one giving into the nafs once, that you will lose all your good deeds? No. Some diseases are like this, but jealousy is like this. But giving into the nafs on one occasion will not take away your 99% of good deeds. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful, and He knows that it is a struggle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not expect from me and you that you will become purified and you will purify this nafs in one day. Allah knows it will be a struggle, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to go through this struggle, because paradise cannot be given to anyone. Paradise, the place where you fulfill your desires whenever you want. If you fulfill your desires however you want here, how can this be given to you in paradise? Your paradise was here. If you're fulfilling your every desire here, then you cannot have that in paradise. But the person who restricts his desires here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him this in paradise. So realize this, but this is a good news that if you give in once, then do not think you have lost the whole war. You've only lost one battle. Keep struggling. Keep struggling. It will take time, it will take years, it will take striving. This is why the fourth condition in the path to Allah is mujahada, striving. Who are you striving against? Is it your partner, your friends, that he's on the journey to Allah and I'm on the journey to Allah? Are you striving against them? No. Everyone's journey is independent. You are striving against your inner self, your nafs. This is who you're striving against. So, mashallah, the point number 5 is, if you have given into it and manifest the evil desires of the nafs, only then you become sinful, not before. So to explain this, if a person has let's say you have the feeling of jealousy. Hazrat Sahib even touched upon it today. You have the feeling of jealousy in you. Now, jealousy is in the nafs, it's not in you yet. So when is it in you? When does it come in you? So you see this person has a nice car and you think, I want this car as well and I don't want him to have it. But the thought came beyond your control automatically. It came most likely from the nafs because it was a desire. So when does it come into you? It comes into you when you embrace it with your heart and you feel that, yes, I should have it, I should have it. That you've allowed the jealousy to live inside you. You've embraced it. And this is exactly what I was mentioning Shaitan did. He embraced the feeling. Like the people who embrace the sins, they've embraced it. Why do they embrace it? Because it's hard to fight it. They think, oh, it's so hard to fight, I'm going to give in the other side, I'm going to embrace it. So if you embrace the sin, the evil disease, that's when you are classed as having it. Only then. Now it's in your heart and it's a continuous sin. Then, as Hazrat Sahib mentioned, it goes from the heart to the mind. And what happens in the mind? So, who can tell me what's the difference between the heart and the mind? Yes. Yes, exactly, mashallah. This is correct. So your heart is to do with the feelings, the desires, and thoughts as well. But the mind is only to do with thoughts. So the mind's only to do with thoughts. So now, from the heart, the thoughts are coming into the mind now. That, okay, let's plan. Now do you see your intellect, which is a gift from Allah to you, is being used to disobey Him. So this same intellect will be used, you're using it to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, Allah Azza wa Jal will punish you, the person, by letting them go with their intellect in ways that will misguide them even more. If you use the blessings of Allah to disobey Him, those blessings will be used in a way to harm you. It will not be used in your benefit. Shaitan has such a high intellect, but he is using his intellect to disobey Allah. What is his intellect doing? It's only taking him closer and closer and closer to Jahannam, deeper and deeper. So on the heart level, if you embrace the feeling, your heart has the disease. On the mind level, if you entertain the thoughts of jealousy, that yes, why does he have it? He doesn't deserve it. I should be thinking, I should have it. So you're entertaining these thoughts. Now you have thought bad of a Muslim. And this is a sin of the mind. That you think negative of a Muslim, that he doesn't deserve it. How do you know he deserves, he doesn't? So then it's manifested in the mind. So now you've become sinful on two levels, your heart and the mind. And now, when it comes to the mind, from the mind tells you, the intellect says, go and scratch his car. Go and cut his tires. Go and do an insurance job and brake in front of him so he crashes in behind you, so we can ruin his car and we can receive something. People do this. Or it could be any disease. It could be that when a person has jealousy towards someone, they backbite them. So how can you backbite the person who you think is good and deserves these good things they have? You can only backbite them if you think they don't deserve it. They shouldn't have this good blessing. So, and you can only backbite the person who you think is lower than you. You cannot backbite the one who you think is better than you. So do you see this one sentence, but has much deeper meaning, that if you give in to the nafs and you manifested the evil desires with your heart, with your mind, with your body, only then you become sinful. So in here there is also good news. So what is the good news here? So can someone tell me, what is the good news in this point? What is the good news here? And I'm telling you, the bad news is when you manifest it with your body, mind, heart, you are sinful. What is the good news then? Thinking about it is not a sin? And it's a good try, mashallah, but thinking about planning a sin can itself be a sin. There are certain sins of the mind which are sins. Thinking bad of Muslims, remembering a person's sins of the past and enjoying them, these are both sins. And then planning the sin may not be classed as a sin, but when the person manifests it, then all of this becomes sinful. So when the person plans a sin but they don't commit the sin, they receive good deed. It's mentioned in hadith very clearly, they become rewarded. But when they plan the sin and they execute the sin, then all of this becomes sinful, the body, mind and heart. So you should realize that the sin is already living in you, it's in the mind and the heart. But what is the good news in here? Brother Shahid, can you tell me? In this point, what is the good news? Can you, brothers, show the point that's on the slide? Yes, brother. Exactly, mashallah. So you're along the right points, that if you don't manifest it, you have jealousy in the nafs, you feel it, but you are not sinful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish you. Now look at this hadith, very, very scary hadith. But there is good news in the point that I'm saying. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said, he's meaning that a person with an atom's weight of arrogance will not enter paradise. An atom's weight. How scary is this, that how can I be sure I have an atom or not? No person can really say that I don't have an atom. Person who says I don't have an atom's weight of arrogance, he definitely has it. But how can you be sure you don't have an atom's weight? Well, the simple way is, if it's in the nafs, you do not have to worry. All you have to do is don't manifest it with your body, with your mind, with your heart. You will not be sinful. And then this is good news, because that atom is referring to that you've embraced it. From the nafs, you've embraced it in the body, mind, heart. Now you've become sinful instantly. Now that hadith applies to you. Now that hadith applies to you. So, inshallah, if the nafs is full of arrogance, you don't need to worry. All you need to do is strive against it, do mujahadah and striving against it, but never manifest it. Never allow it to embrace in your body, in your mind, in your heart. Fight it all the time, as much as you can, and you will not be considered that you have arrogance. You will not be considered to have jealousy and pride and everything else. It's the nafs that has it. So other things regarding the nafs is that it is a spiritual being, it's not physical. So it is inside you, it's using your fingers, your eyes, your body, it wants to use your ears, it wants to use your mind, it wants to use your heart. It wants to use everything in you to enjoy. But it is not in any particular place, because it can be in your feet it can be using your hands. So it's a spiritual being, and it's using every part of you to enjoy. So it is not physical, it is spiritual. Point 7, the nafs only wants to enjoy and manifest the evil desires with the body, the mind, the heart. You are not liable simply for the desire. So I've mentioned this as well, that just for a desire being in you, you are not sinful. So now think of this now in non-Muslims, even it happens in Muslims. If a person, man or woman, they have a wife, a spouse, husband, now they are attracted to somebody else. They feel they're attracted to somebody else, and they think to themselves, oh, this is really bad, I'm attracted to someone else. Now the husband and wife, neither of them seem to understand that just being attracted to somebody else does not make you sinful. Every human being on the face of the earth will be attracted to different other opposite sex. This is why we should be preserving our eyes, so we don't see them and you only see the spouse. So do you see in the non-Muslims, they have this problem as well, that they are looking idlessly at everybody. So then one day comes, they break their marriage, their relationship, and they think, oh, I'm attracted to someone else, this is why. So all they had to know was that this desire of others will come in me, but I just need to not manifest it. Just because of having the desire, you are not sinful. That I desire somebody else. Just because of the desire, you are not sinful. It's manifesting this desire in the wrong way. What do they become? What do? They break that relationship, they go start a new relationship. Then the nafs gets bored and it breaks that relationship, goes starts a new relationship. And it gets bored and it's an endless circle. So really what they're doing is just following the desires of the nafs. And this is why if you preserve your eyes and your other organs of the body, that desire of the nafs would not be inflamed. So imagine the eyes has a direct link to this nafs. The nafs is saying, look at this now, mahram, look at her. It has the desire. Now when you look, then the desire grows even more. And now you've looked away, but the image is still in your mind. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ said regarding this, that the lustful glance is the poisonous arrow of the devil. The lustful glance is the poisonous arrow of shaitan and of the nafs. Why poisonous? Because when you've taken the arrow out, you've looked away, the poison is still inside. This desire is still there. So what you should have done was never looked in the first place. Then the arrow would never have hit you, the poison would not be inside. So, but realize that even if the desire is there, because you've looked or whichever, you are not sinful just because of the desire. You will be sinful when you manifest it in the wrong way. So again, this is a solution for many problems that people are going through. Another problem on this is that sometimes people don't have desire, the opposite extreme, and they think, I don't have any desire for my spouse, wife, husband, then this relationship is ending. So just not having the desire, this is a state of the nafs. One day it has tremendous desire, and the other day it has no desire. All you need to realize is the nafs goes through many different feelings. It desires one thing one day and it desires something else the other day. Just like a child wants ice cream today, tomorrow it wants chocolate. What the nafs will desire one day and the other day, you don't know. All you need to realize is that I will not give it the evil desires, I will not feed it. The more you feed the nafs, the more stronger it becomes. The less you feed it, the weaker it becomes. So do not feed its desires. You can feed the lawful desires. For example, when you want to open your fast, there are many options of food. All that is also the nafs that desires. For example, you like mango, you don't like carrots, for example. You prefer the mango, you don't want the carrot. So what does this mean? This means your nafs likes the mango, the nafs doesn't like the carrot. But is there any sin in you choosing mango over carrot? No. And the reason there isn't is because these are two lawful matters. These are two lawful halal options for you. Here you can feed the nafs. This is where you can feed it. But in the other matters, in the sinful matters between halal and haram, this is where you do not feed it. This is where you do not give in to desires. What's wrong with the shahid? The nafs has a part in there as well. Yes. So when I'm saying about when a person has a desire of two different things, the nafs is with the body. It is using the body to enjoy. Here this is lawful. So there's nothing wrong with the person choosing a halal or two halal options. They choose whichever they want. So this is where you should the nafs has a right upon you as well. This is one thing to add here. The nafs also has a right upon you. And the biggest right is that you save it from Jahannam. This is the biggest right. But other right is that you give it the lawful options. From the halal options that it's allowed, you give it the lawful one. This is a right of the nafs. So, for example, with food, you give it the lawful food. With sexual desires, you give it marital lawful relations. With instead of music, you listen to nasheed. The nafs is wanting to listen to something. Don't give it music. This is harmful for it and for you. Give it nasheed. So there's always a lawful option, and it has the right that you give it the lawful as well. So the next point is that I mentioned this before, that one should and can admonish their nafs as a way of admonishing themselves. So really let me give you an example of a person. I'll mention many different examples. One person, he likes seeing other people arguing. So he has this in him that he likes to see other people arguing. This is a very big disease, this. This is called spite, that you like to see other people in discomfort and you don't like to see them in peace and happiness. This is spite. So this is a disease in the nafs. Now, as soon as you feel this in you, you should be saying, oh nafs, this is a problem, this is wrong, this is evil. You are wanting bad for people and you are not wanting good for them. So you begin to admonish it. But who is the one that can admonish their nafs? Only the person who recognizes. Only the one who looks inside their inner self and sees, I have this evil feeling. But if you don't pay attention to your inner self, how will you ever know? How will you ever know? So be aware that this is another point, inshallah, I'll add to the slides, that a person who does introspection, only they can really realize these faults inside them. You have a teacher, you have a shaykh, you listen to him, what he tells you to do, the nafs will become purified. But you do these matters as well, because these are the things which the mashayikh teach, then you will be able to realize that you have some problems, and you will be able to go to the teacher and mention that this happened, and my nafs, I felt this way, and you become open with them, they will give you a solution. But you hide it, and rather just embrace this evil feeling, you are going even further astray. Is it regarding this topic, this point? Yes, it can be a cure to ghafla as well, yes. So ghafla is heedlessness and forgetfulness. So the nafs is making you think of worldly desires, holidays, money, wealth, dunya, other things. Some of them nothing wrong with. But you can admonish the nafs and tell it, nafs, turn towards Allah, remember Allah. So you are reminding yourself every time that this happens. But do you see, why do you admonish? Why do you admonish the nafs? The reason is to increase the separation between you and it. Why? Because of this very first point which you saw all the way back here, that the nafs is not you and you are the spirit. And this one, that its deception is to make you think you are it and it is you. If you do not keep a separation between you and it, you will think, I am the nafs and it is me. You will forget it exists. So the reason they admonish it is to keep the separation between them. So this is one reason. And you will see in the books of the mashayikh and the awliya Allah of the past, they used to do this. You read their books and you'll see. So, moving on, it does not think ahead. The nafs does not think ahead. This is very similar to it doesn't have a mind. So the mind, you might think they're the same thing, they're not the same thing. Because when we say the nafs doesn't have a mind, this means it cannot decide between right and wrong. This is a deciding factor. Thinking ahead is something different. This is to do with planning. The nafs does not plan ahead. It only wants now. It only wants to enjoy now. But some nafs are so strong and powerful that the person is fighting against them as well, and the person is saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. Not today, not today. There's too many people here, so I can't do this. I can't do this sin in i'tikaf. So what does the nafs do? The nafs uses your intellect. It uses your intellect to plan the sin for the future. So it doesn't have its own mind, but did I not say before, it uses your faculties? It uses your mind, the mind that you had for reasoning between good and bad, it uses your mind to plan the sin. So yes, it may not sin and it wants the desire now, but if you're fighting it, and this is good you're fighting it, but it will tell you, okay, if not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, next week. When we go back from i'tikaf, we'll do the sin then. We can't do it here, too many people. So this is what the nafs will do now. That you're fighting it, you're telling it not now, but it's telling you, okay, not today, next week, inshallah. We'll plan it for that day, that time. So it begins to use your intellect to plan the sin. And you need to fight it on the mind level. Do not allow it even to think of a sin. Remember the second level on the mind stage? Do not even think about a sin. Do not even entertain one thought against the Sharia. If you do that, the nafs cannot even use your mind. So many people are wanting to put their hands up. Inshallah, I'll answer them at the end. Inshallah, answer them at the end. So just write your questions down and write the points down they're related to, and maybe it will be answered as there's 28 points, we're only on point 9. Your question inshallah will be answered as we go. Okay, so moving on. It only wants enjoyment now, it lives for the moment. And you saw this on the path to hell, that what was one of those stepping stones? That living in the moment to enjoy the moment for the wrong reasons. Not for taking the closeness of Allah locked in the moment. In every moment there is closeness to Allah locked in this moment. You need to know how to unlock it. That is a different living in the moment. This living in the moment is, what does the nafs want now? The nafs wants to sleep. The nafs wants to eat. The nafs wants to go on the phone, or the nafs wants to do something else, enjoyment, whatever it might want to do. So when you're at home, maybe it will just be sleeping all day, maybe it will be complaining about food. Why is it makruh to complain about food in fasting? Because the nafs is the one that's complaining, I can't enjoy now, I want to eat. The nafs is saying, I want to eat. So if you manifest it with your tongue, you've obeyed the nafs, and this is why your fast becomes makruh. It becomes disliked. So the nafs only wants to enjoy now, and then there are some people who are eating, and they don't go to Taraweeh, and they don't pray, but they're eating. So what is the nafs doing? It's fasted all day, now it just wants to enjoy. Don't pray. Then there are people who will sit, they will go to the gym, 2 hours they'll go to the gym, but in Taraweeh they cannot stand for 1 hour or less. So who is it you should realize now, that who is it that really I am following? When I'm in the gym, the nafs is enjoying because it's looking in the mirror, look at me. But when I'm in Taraweeh, no one's looking at me. There's no enjoyment there for the nafs, so it's the person prefers to sit down. Now on this point you should realize, very important point I'm going to mention as an additional, if you see somebody sitting down and they're not praying, do not think bad of them. If you do, then your nafs inside you might be praying and he's not praying, but you, inside you, you're thinking bad of a Muslim. Now your nafs, you've manifested it because you've thought bad of another Muslim. So yes, he might not be praying, that's between him and Allah Azza wa Jal. But you thinking bad of him, now you've manifested it inside you. So now you're becoming more impure. You've obeyed the nafs. So never think bad of a Muslim. Always think good 70 times before you think one bad thing. Inshallah. Maybe they have reason, maybe they're ill, maybe they have difficulty. Could be anything. But he knows between him and Allah, they know their reason. Now the nafs, 11, the nafs does not care about whether it is halal or haram. It doesn't care, is this halal, is this haram? So I remember one person, he ate a crisp packet and it was told to him this is not suitable for vegetarians, and he finished it and then he looked at the packet, oh, it's not suitable for vegetarians. So this is a strange matter that the nafs was in saying, don't look. It's halal, it's haram, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy it, we'll look after. So this is what the nafs does. It doesn't care if it's halal, haram, it just wants to enjoy it. And you should be wary of this. It can be with food, it can be with any type of relationship. It can be with music as well. You see people, 99% scholars say about the music is disallowed, and the 1% say it's allowed. I don't want to go into the masla, but who is it in the people who decide, oh, let's listen to music? Sometimes they need to realize that it's not the decision, the masla is not being made for the benefit of the world and the people, but the masla is being made for the benefit of the individual. This is the very reason why man-made laws are always changing. The man-made laws today, this drug is class A drug. Last year it was a class C drug. Next year it will be a class C again. The man-made laws are always changing. Alcohol in the UK is one of the most prevalent reasons why people have accidents and obesity and all sorts of evil things happening because of it. It's one of the biggest killers. But why do the government not make it haram? Because they themselves, their nafs in themselves is enjoying the haram. So they cannot say, oh, make this haram because then I can't have it. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from any of these desires. Allah is free from them. He can tell you, this is good for you, this is bad for you, keep away from this. But the man-made person, the human being himself cannot decide. Only the pious and the righteous who've submitted their nafs has submitted, they have gone through tazkiyah process, they have mashayikh, they're connected to the Prophet through all the mashayikh of the past, they can do something like this because they have not submitted to their nafs has submitted to them. So remember, the nafs doesn't care it's halal, it's haram. Shaitan cares it's halal, it's haram. Shaitan cares. So what does this mean? Shaitan wants, what does nafs want? What does shaitan want? You should understand the main difference. What do you think shaitan wants? Uncle Salim, what do you think shaitan wants? He wants haram, but what does he want? He doesn't just want you to do haram. Marrying, for example, two sisters is disallowed in this ummah, but in the past it was allowed. So that was something that's halal, haram, can also change with the sharia of the past to the present. So he's not bothered about that. He wants something else. What is it that shaitan wants? Yes, brother. Exactly. So shaitan wants you to go to hell. So the things which are haram now in this sharia, he wants you to do them. If it wasn't haram, he wouldn't be bothered. So shaitan only wants you to go hell. He doesn't want you to enjoy. He wants you to go hell. Nafs only wants to enjoy. But the very important point to know, there's another one that's not on here, is that shaitan uses the weakest or the strongest desire of the nafs. He uses that against you. So he uses your strongest desire against you. That is your greatest weakness. Your strongest desire is your greatest weakness. And shaitan uses that, he takes advantage of that because he knows this is the weapon to use against this person. One person's problem is music. They cannot go to sleep without listening to music. Another person's problem is pornography. Another person's problem is company, his bad company. Another person's problem is smoking. Another one is TV programs and movies. So everyone has different issues. So shaitan uses your weakness. So you need to make sure, do not let shaitan know your weakness. Do not manifest. So, but today is not about shaitan. Point 12, nafs changes from bad to good, but it also changes from good to bad. Now, who is this really for? This point is those people who, everyone knows inshallah that your nafs can become purified. But very rare is it to mention that the nafs can become impurified. So now this is one of the biggest deceptions that these people go through. The ones who have been with mashayikh for many years. A person who's been with a shaykh for many, many years, his nafs says to him or to her that you must be purified. You must be purified. These evil desires and jealousy and arrogance and pride, self-likeness, these are not in you. The nafs says this to the person. And he believes it because he thinks, I've been with the shaykh for so many years, I must be purified. So do you see, he doesn't believe that just because of his time of being with the mashayikh, he thinks I must be purified. This is not the case. This is not the case. But rather by being there for a long time, you can fall prey to the nafs's evil deceptions and desires here. You can begin to become impurified and think that you are purified, and the person who thinks there is no disease in me, he can never cure the disease. Can you understand this? Does this make sense? So the right reaction for every person is never ever think that I am purified. Always think that I am impurified and I need to fight my nafs. Always think I need to fight. And the mashayikh, they never let their nafs they never become lenient with it. They are always harsh upon it. So this is the right way. Otherwise you will fall into this trap. So point 12, That nafs only becomes purified by striving against it. This is really the only way it becomes purified, that strive against it. Strive, fight against it. And the course of self-purification, this is exactly what you are doing. When the person wants to look at na-mahram, he strives, he looks down. When he wants to listen to music, he turns it off. You're striving against the nafs. When you want to watch a bad program, you turn it off or you walk away. That is striving. When you want to think bad of a Muslim, no one can see this. Imagine, nobody can see your thoughts. But your nafs wants to think bad of a Muslim, and you subdue it, you stop it. You're preventing the bad thoughts. You are then striving. Your nafs wants to embrace the feeling of hate towards a person, animosity towards them, grudge towards them, and you subdue it. You fight it, keep it in. You don't let it unleash. So this striving will purify you. Now the next two, these are the golden principles. The first one is telling you, you strive. But the next two, 14 and 15, they are golden principle. If a person acted upon these two, a third or more of the tariq and the path to Allah would be covered. These 2 points alone. So what are they? The first half is, do what it does not want you to do. Do what it does not want you to do. And there is a condition there, so no one misunderstands, as long as it's within Sharia. So do what it does not want you to do. So let's say it doesn't want you to pray. So you pray. When the person is in this state, I don't feel like praying today. I don't feel any enjoyment in the prayer. Do you know what the right reaction is then? Pray longer. Extend the prayer. You don't feel like praying, so you extend it. Because the nafs is the one who doesn't feel like praying. When you don't feel like doing your zikr, do you know what the right reaction is then? Do more. Or increase the zikr. But then the nafs will, not to decrease it. If you decrease it, then you're giving in to some extent. You extend it. So you do not do what the nafs wants you to do. So remember which way around it is. Do what it does not want you to do. So it doesn't want you to do go to Fajr prayer because it wants to sleep. It doesn't want you to pray 5 times a day. It doesn't want you to do the zikr. It doesn't want you to come to itikaf and to the majalis, the gatherings of weekly gatherings. There's so many things it doesn't want you to do, but you do them, and they will help you and they will purify it. So, but as long as it's within the Sharia, you cannot. If the nafs is saying that I want to, let's see, do what it does not want you to do. So let's say the nafs does not want you to stay up in the night and worship, then you should spend some time in worship. So if the nafs does not want you to look at, let's say the nafs does not want you to look at na-mahram. So the nafs actually wants you to abstain from a sin. Now if you said, okay, my nafs doesn't want to look at this na-mahram, then I should look at her. Then you have misunderstood. So when the nafs doesn't want you to do a bad thing, this is a good sign that the nafs is purified. You don't then impurify it because of your misunderstanding. If the nafs doesn't want you to do a bad thing, alhamdulillah, this is helping you. This is a good positive sign of purification. So within the Sharia, this is why knowledge is important. If a person doesn't have sound knowledge, the nafs will mislead them. So 15, do not do what it wants you to do. Do not do what it wants you to do. So let's say the nafs wants you to listen to music. This applies to every single sin that a person can do. There are sins where you do something, and there are sins where you abstain from something. So abstaining from salah is a major sin. Looking at bad programs is a major sin. So do you see the difference? One is to do something, one is not to do something. This is the other half, that do not do what it wants you to do. So let's say the nafs wants you to listen to music, watch bad programs, backbite people, swear, unleash your anger upon the family and the spouse, and it wants you to embrace your anger, give in to the anger. As the Prophet ﷺ said, strong is not the one who puts another down in wrestling, strong is the one who controls his anger when he's angry. Why? Because he's doing this. He's not unleashing the nafs, he's not doing what the nafs wants to do. So if you do this, these two, then very, very quickly a person becomes purified. So another example, you do not want to go to, or want to go to your class, your alim class, alima class. You want to give up. So then what is the answer? That you keep going. If your nafs doesn't want to go there, in there is purification. If your nafs didn't want to go to boarding school, you go there, there's purification. If your nafs didn't want to do hifz, in there is purification. Whatever the nafs doesn't want, in there doing it is purification. This is why Mashayikh used to tell their students in the past, and nowadays as well, that go and clean the stables and the animals. Because the nafs is like, why should I clean animals? Why should I do this? But the person did it. If he does it, he will become purified. So imagine cleaning animals seems like it has nothing to do with Islam. But the fact is he's doing mujahada and striving against the nafs, he will purify it. So inshallah I'll go through these a bit quicker now. Point 16 is that it becomes weaker and weaker until it submits to you. It submits to you. But the more and more and more and more you strive against it, the more weaker and weaker and weaker it becomes. It becomes so weak that it will go to sleep. So these 2 points are important. I will mention about the sleep shortly. But the nafs submits to you, but who do you submit to? You submit to the shaykh, to the teacher. And who has the teacher submitted to? To the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And who has he submitted to? To Allah Azza wa Jalla. So indirectly, your nafs has submitted to Allah. And then, only then, you have become a Muslim. Imagine, that's the meaning of Muslims, one who has submitted to Allah. But look at the chain to reach you there. How can you say I've submitted to Allah when you are following the full desires of the nafs? Then you have not. So you can only reach this stage of the nafs submitting to you if you submit to the teacher. The teacher will tell you, for example, I want you to abstain from the sins of the ears. Okay? So now the nafs, when you go home, nafs is saying, put the music on. And you'll say, no, I can't put the music on. Because my teacher said not to, I have to stop the sins of the ears. So the nafs starts arguing with you and telling you, please, please, please put it on, don't put it on. And you keep saying, no, 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 I'm not going to do it. So this war starts to happen inside you. So if you give in to the nafs, you submit to the nafs. But if you fight it, you're submitting to the teacher. And there will come a time, it will never again oppose you. The nafs will come to a point where it will never oppose you. The teacher says something, you will do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands something, you will do it. Something is sunnah, you will do it. There's no conflict and there's only ease in doing that. That is a stage which you are striving to attain. Where the nafs helps you, it doesn't fight you. So I mentioned that it does not sleep. Sorry, that it sleeps but it does not die. What does this mean? It means exactly what I just said, that it does not oppose you. It becomes such that it's there but it's not there. It's like a cancer cell. The cancer cell is there but it's not active. Do you know that many cancer cells are inside a person already? They're just not active. They're not doing anything, but you already have them in you sometimes. So it is there, it is asleep, but it does not die. When does it die? When you die. When you die, it goes with you in the grave, the day of judgment, and the Jannah and Jahannam, and is punished or rewarded with you there too. So it doesn't die, it only sleeps. And remember, just like someone can go to sleep, they can also be woken up. That's the same point that was mentioned before, that if a person is purified, they can also become impurified. So if the nafs goes to sleep, it can also wake. If you let it loose, it will wake up. What does this one mean? Peace, war, peace. This one requires explanation. In the beginning, before the person starts the journey to Allah and comes to one of the mashayikh, the friends of Allah, they feel as though they have some strange peace in them. It's a strange peace. Why? Because they feel that they are one person. That all my life it's been like someone has stood here, he's saying something in my ear, do this, do this, do this. And I've just done it. To such an extent that I forgot that there was someone telling me to do things. Imagine there was someone stood behind you all your life, and you did everything he said, you will forget that there is someone behind you. But the moment that you turn around and say no, this is the moment that this war begins to take place. This war, this fight happens between you and the nafs. And this is where the purification, you heard the 2 points, do what it does not want you to do. And what was the other one? To become purified, Brother Zia? So one was do what it does not want you to do. What was the other war-related striving? Exactly. Don't do what it wants you to do. When you do these 2 things, you are fighting and it becomes purified. How does it become from, what does this indicate? It becomes something. It was one of the slides just a short while before. It's going down. What does this represent, Brother Shaban? If I said it's becoming like it's coming down, what does this mean? You're having, yeah? Good, you're having more control over it? Is it becoming stronger and stronger? No, it's weaker and weaker. So when you do a war with the nafs, it is becoming weaker and weaker until it goes to sleep. And when it goes to sleep, now this person stood behind me is no longer there. Now there is no fight, there is no argument, there is no internal conflict. So now you feel peace. So this, everybody goes through this, whether you've experienced it or not. You do not want the first piece. That first piece you've submitted to the nafs. You want the last piece. That piece the nafs has submitted to you. And the first piece, the nafs has used this place as Jannah, and in the last piece, that's where you use the akhirah as Jannah. So if you let the nafs have this world as Jannah, then you will not have the Jannah in the hereafter. So this is the process that a person goes through. Now this one's also very important. You need to realize this, because in there are many solutions as well. In just realizing this, just knowing this knowledge is a solution. You feel what it feels, and it feels what you feel. So what does this mean? You feel what it feels, and it feels what you feel. This again comes to, let's say for example, marriage or friendship or relationships. You do not feel any love towards your spouse, for example. Now, you do not feel this because the nafs doesn't feel it. So do you give in to this feeling? Just that you don't feel any desire or any feeling of love? No. Feelings, they come and go. They will always come and go. But if the nafs is not feeling attracted or enjoyment, this doesn't mean that you should give in, because the feelings will always change. But you should realize that the nafs will change feelings all the time, and you will feel it as well. It will feel what you feel, you will feel what it feels. This is the reason why if you do mujahada, striving, you feel the pain and it feels the pain. But it will become purified. You will feel the pain and it will feel the pain. But similarly, if you give it enjoyment, you will feel the enjoyment, it will feel the enjoyment, but then the depression will come after. The nafs will feel the depression and you will feel the depression. So you need to realize that you feel its feelings, it feels your feelings. But do not become a follower of feelings. It is harder to fight a feeling than it is to fight a thought. This is the very reason why the Mashaykh say, he who has conquered his nafs has conquered shaitan. Why? Because shaitan only has thoughts to fight you, attack you. But the nafs, it has feelings and thoughts. And feelings are much, 10 times, 20 times, maybe more harder to fight than thoughts. A thought comes and goes, but a feeling, it stays a long time. So do not worry if you have an evil feeling inside you. Don't worry about it. Just realize this is my nafs, this is not me. And then you are okay. Then you just need to strive against it and purify it. The strong desire of the nafs is your greatest weakness, as mentioned before, which shaitan will use against you. So you need to ask yourself today, write this down, that what is my greatest weakness? What is my greatest weakness? Maybe it's only 1 or 2 or 3 things. But whatever your greatest weakness is, you need to know it, because that is the very door that shaitan will come through for you. Through there he's going to take you. So recognize it. Only you can tell yourself. You know what your greatest desire is. That is your greatest weakness. And Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani's guidance is, turn your weaknesses into your strengths. How do you turn something into strength? When you go to the gym, you're working on it every day. Every 2 days, you're working on this muscle, that muscle. So what does this mean? Turn your greatest weakness into your greatest strength. It means work on them every day. Your greatest weakness, work on it every day. Don't just put it aside. Recognize it, work on it, make it so that it becomes your strength, your greatest strength. Then every door for shaitan is closed. Point 23 is that first to be purified is the evil kind of nafs, which inclines towards evil. So when a person first starts the journey towards Allah, the names are not important, nafs ammara and so on. This type of nafs is the one that inclines towards evil. It likes evil things. It likes watching bad programs and bad company and sinful activity. It doesn't like hearing death. It doesn't like hearing akhirah. Because death it sees as the cutter of desires. It is the breaker of desires. So the nafs doesn't like hearing those things. So this is the first one to become purified. So you should ask yourself, does my nafs incline towards evil? Maybe I have this, I need to start the journey to rectify this. You make the decision, the nafs, this is very important. Why? That you make the decision, the nafs cannot force you, it only has the weapon of whispers and desires. I mentioned whispers and desires before, but this part that you make the decision. On the Day of Judgment, imagine shaitan will say, everyone will come, all his followers, and they will say, you led us astray, you led us astray, and cursed be you, and so on. And shaitan will have a pulpit of fire, it's mentioned in the Holy Quran, and he will say, this day, do not blame me, only blame yourselves. I didn't have any power over you, I only invited you. Shaitan will say this. But imagine the nafs, even the nafs, you cannot blame it. Because it doesn't have the decision. The power of decision making is not upon the nafs, it's upon you. So this is why the person is the one who is going to be held responsible on the Day of Judgment. You yourself, your spirit, you had the decision to make the right choice or the wrong choice. You had the decision to give in to the nafs or to fight it. The nafs couldn't make the decision, it only desired. You had the decision. So we are held accountable. And this is another important point that's related to this, that the question is, what is the purpose of the Day of Judgment? What is the point of having the Day of Judgment when Allah already knows every person who's going to Jahannam and every person who's going to Jannah? So what is the reason? Can someone tell me? What is the reason for this? Why is there a Day of Judgment? Yes? Allah SWT is just, yes, but to do justice, Allah SWT could just give the final decision. This would still be justice. Justice needs to be seen to be done. It's along these lines, yes, mashallah, it's along these lines. Brother, go on. On the Day of Judgment there is no test. Very, very few people who didn't have a test, they are exceptions. The message of Islam never came to them. They are tested, for example, but we are not tested. Yes, brother. Yes, that's true, but the question is, why does the Day of Judgment happen when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could just make the decision or announce the decision? He already knows. Yes. Again, I could say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could just tell you, you are a person of Jannah, you are a person of Jahannam. So even though you had free will, the answer, it's okay, I'll answer now. A reason for the Day of Judgment is so that every single person who goes to hell knows that I have no one to blame but myself. And that every single person who goes to Jannah knows I am not going to Jannah because of my own good deeds. I am only going because of the fazl and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the purpose of the Day of Judgment. Every person will know this, that I am not going to hell because of anyone. I can't blame anybody, I blame myself now. So on the Day of Judgment will happen so that the people of Jahannam, they will know that it's my fault. And the people of Jannah will know, I don't deserve, only it's Allah's fazl that I'm going. So this is this one, inshallah. I realize that, and only a few points left, inshallah. After the nafs ammara, it goes through war, as you've seen. You go through the war and it becomes purified, and it becomes nafs mutma'inna. So there are other stages, but they are not too important. All you need to know is you strive and it becomes a peaceful, tranquil nafs, which is also mentioned in the Holy Quran. That Allah Azza wa Jal mentions that, O pious, tranquil, peaceful nafs, come into my servants, come into my Jannah. That, do you see, come to my servants first? That means come to my pious and righteous servants who will train you and teach you to purify yourself. Then come into my Jannah. So come to my servants first, then you can come to my Jannah. You see, there is an order. 626 is, it becomes inclined towards good, and it is always pleased with Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is now called nafs radiyah. This is one of the higher levels, that this nafs is never ever displeased with anything beyond its control. It's always happy and pleased with Allah's will. I mentioned the example of June, the weather. Some people complain, we have no summer. The nafs is happy, this nafs is happy, it's Allah's will. This is the case, so I'm happy. And it's raining, it's hailstone, I'm happy. So do you see, would you rather be the person depressed, complaining about the weather every day, or the one who's happy with their weather every day? It's your quality of life, it's your quality of day. So become this nafs and you will have happiness and peace within you, inshallah. 27. Now this is a subtle point, but it is a very practical point, and one should understand, especially those people who do mashwara, consultations. Whenever you have group consultation, your reaction, remember that if Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to make all of the deen upon the whole earth, He could have done it in a second. It's not hard for Allah. So what is the purpose of having these mashwaras, these meetings, to bring people to deen and so on? The purpose really isn't to get things done. This is only the outward purpose. The real purpose is to become purified through them, to become purified. When you forget this purpose, then you no longer achieve the purpose. You should refresh it every time before the mashwara. So what should the person think? Everyone's opinions are being given. My opinion, your opinion, your opinion. And different people's opinions are clashing. Your opinion is being made to seem lowly in front of other people. You should be thinking internally that my opinion is the lowest opinion. I am a lowly person. Their opinion is right. But you should still give your opinion. So you give your opinion, but internally you think, my opinion is nothing. And rather, if they don't follow your opinion, the Amir doesn't take your opinion, be happy and think, I won't be held accountable because they chose a different opinion. So through the mashwara, you can become purified. When a person is shouting at you, opposing you, Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani mentions that there is a part inside every nafs that can never become purified until you interact with creation. And this is what's happening. That person is swearing at you, shouting at you. You are thinking internally, that swear that he's giving me, that admonishment or that lowering, I will not turn it against him, I will direct it to the nafs. So you direct it to the nafs. What does this mean? You do not embrace it with the heart, the animosity feeling. You do not embrace the evil thoughts against him, and you do not fight him with evil words either. But rather you point all of that towards your nafs, and like this you become purified through people. Imagine the person is harming you, and you're attaining more closeness to Allah with every swear, with every admonition. So what a wonderful thing this really is. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam shows this example when the people who were swearing at him and giving him all sorts of evil remarks, and he said, meaning that may Allah forgive you. He gave them dua, may Allah bless you. He gave them flowers and dua. And the companions asked that, oh our master, why do you give them prayers and duas when they are throwing stones at you and they are swearing at you and they are being very, very disrespectful? And he said Tanus meaning that if you have a pan and there is milk inside it, no matter how much you shake it, only milk will come out. So what this means, think about it, that if there is good in a person, only good can come out, no matter how much harm you do to the person. So therefore what you should be doing when people are harming you is purify your milk, purify your inner self. Use that as a stirring tool to purify yourself inside. But if you just unleash it and there's filth inside you, filth will be unleashed. So, and the last point, inshallah, a few of them is, if you are silent with the tongue, so you should know this is like hypocrisy. If a person is silent with the tongue, they don't oppose a person with their tongue, but with their mind and their heart, they allow the nafs to unleash itself. They think bad of the person, they feel evil feelings towards the person. But only with the tongue you've stayed silent. Your tongue might become more purified, but your mind and heart will not. They will become more impurified. So realize the purification is not only the body, but the mind and heart is needed as well. If a person is harming you, saying something bad to you, then have a good reaction with your body, which is like here being silent. Have a good reaction with the mind and also with the heart. Then you can expect that the nafs will also become purified, and your heart and mind, body as well. So I did one more, and then this one is very important. That you see, when we point fingers at people, there is one finger pointing towards the person, but there are 3 fingers pointing towards me. So the impurified nafs only blames others. It never blames itself. So do not become the person who blames. Rather, point the finger at yourself, because in there is much benefit for you. And when you blame the nafs, this doesn't mean that you should take the wrong blame. If someone's done something, they've stolen, you say, oh brother, I've stolen it, but you really haven't stolen it. So this doesn't mean this. It means more that if you do have a dispute with somebody, an argument, and if it will resolve the situation, and it can be ended if you just say, okay, it's my fault, inshallah, I apologize. You lower yourself, you blame yourself, the relationship is resolved, and through that you will attain purification. So the other person might still be thinking, I was right, do you see I was right? Their nafs is going higher and higher, meaning bigger and bigger and more impurified. Your nafs is becoming, I am to blame. It's becoming lower and lower. You are becoming purified. So through an argument, you can become pure, you can become impure. But the decision is up to you, your reaction is up to you. So, inshallah, there are those 29 also points mentioned. And there are always other things as well. But inshallah, if anyone has any questions, then they can ask now. And then we'll shortly finish.
Inshallah, I've just asked brothers to raise their hands, just wait for the mic to come.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So, how can we make the difference between shaitanic desires and nafs desires, for example?
Okay, mashallah. First of all, it's not shaitanic desires, it's more shaitanic whispers. Because shaitan cannot put a desire in you. He can only put a desire in you by putting thoughts in you. And the thoughts lead to desires in the nafs. So the difference between shaitanic whispers and nafsanic whispers is, one easy way to tell the difference is, if it is from the nafs, it comes again and again and again and again. It's reoccurring. So every day the same thought is coming. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. So it comes again and again and again. Shaitanic whispers, if they come once and you don't act upon them, sometimes they don't come again. They only come few times. Then what shaitan does is he uses a different whisper, then a different whisper, then a different whisper. So shaitan keeps changing the whispers and the waswas, but the nafs keeps repeating the same one. Because the nafs is addicted to something, it wants something very much. So this is one way to realize difference. The other way to realize difference is the nafs's whispers are all to do with desires that you want, that you will enjoy, because you feel what it feels what you feel. So the nafs's whispers are related to your desire. Shaitan's whispers, sometimes there's no desire in them. That he will put a thought in your mind, but you have no desire towards it. So he can sometimes do this. So this is another way to distinguish. But the time when it's very, very hard to distinguish is when shaitan knows your weakness. When he knows your weakness, then the thoughts he will put into you are the same or very similar to the ones the nafs will put into you. Then you cannot tell the difference. Because then you've exposed yourself to shaitan and he's your open enemy. You never expose yourself to the open enemy. So this is where the person needs to put barriers in place before they let that. They should never even let the thought come into their mind. So the real solution, one is to know the difference. You do not even need to know the difference between shaitanic and nafsanic whispers to be saved from them. The solution is in Tariqa Muhammadiyah in the second stage, first level, that do not entertain any evil thought, any thought against the Sharia, any thought. Do not entertain it. Whether it's now from shaitan nafs, makes no difference. So, is that...
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I have two questions. You mentioned a lot about Nafs Amara, Mutmainna. You mentioned much about Lawama. And also, can there be these two Nafs harming people, Amara, Lawama? And other one is about Tawbah. The Nafs stops Tawbah, do Tawbah, or the Shaitan stops the person from doing Tawbah?
First one regarding Nafs al-Lawama and Ammara and the others is to purify the Nafs, you don't need to know all the different states. So the beneficial knowledge is what's being mentioned. The beneficial knowledge, like the very second point was the greatest deception of the Nafs. Just by knowing that you can become free from its shackles. So the beneficial things are mentioned. How to purify it from Nafs Ammara to Lawama to Mutmainna to the others. Now, all of them don't need to be mentioned. But you want to know the difference. The difference is Ammara inclines towards major evils and Lawama inclines towards minor evils. So this is the difference. So when you purify Ammara, automatically the next one becomes, it refers to major evil, and the Lawama refers to the minor evils it inclines towards. So this is the difference between them. But how to purify them, the same things apply. It applies throughout all of the levels of the nafs, how to purify them, those things which have been mentioned. But it should be point number 30 really, that you can never really purify this nafs on your own. The number of people who've done this can be counted on less than 10 fingers. Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam, Hazrat Khidr, and a few others who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly in some cases, or through Angel Jibreel Islam or through others, they were born and they were preserved and protected. Very few soldiers of Allah Azza wa Jal. Obviously all the prophets and messengers, of course. Now, the rest of us, this nafs is so deceiving that you will think you're purifying it, but you will be following its very, very desires. So the only way that a person can purify it is, as the Mashayikh say, is he who has made he who does not have a shaykh, his shaykh becomes shaitan. So, and what is shaitan's way? Shaitan's way is do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. So really they've become, the nafs has become the shaykh, because shaitan takes you to the nafs. So only through another person can you become purified, because the other person will tell you, do this, and the nafs will say, don't do it. You then choose. Shaykh is saying this, nafs is saying this. You're in the middle. Who do you choose? If you choose the nafs, you go that way. If you choose the shaykh, mashayikh, you go this way and you become purified. Until someone else comes and tells you to do something opposing the nafs, you will never do it. You will never do it. And if you think you are doing it, really the nafs might have deceived you in there. For example, very important example, one person is doing zuhud. What does zuhud mean? Zuhud means striving. They do many, it's very, very sad. They do many years of striving, many different types of striving with the body, with the mind, with the heart, with different ways. Then at the end, what do? They think, all this striving I've done is me. I deserve the praise. I did all that striving. They did hard work, yes they did. No one can deny they did hard work. But they attribute the praise of that striving to themselves. What does this mean? All of their striving is in the bin. Because they've attributed goodness to themselves and not to Allah. So never ever be one of these people that say, I go through lots and lots of hardship. Let me tell you, the real people who go through hardship, what do they say? They will say, I have never been through hardship. I don't think I go through any hardship. But they really have been through hardship, but they don't see it as hardship, and that makes it even easier to go through. So why do they not see it as hardship? Because if they said, oh, this is hard, they would be praising themselves. So they would be praising themselves, and they don't praise, they praise Allah. So do not let your zuhud, your striving, be a means to feed the nafs more. Rather, say that I don't go through any hardship, I am nothing, and attribute the goodness to Allah. Azza wa Jal. Yes.
Can you control the nafs as a human being really without the rahmah and mercy of Allah?
Without the mercy and the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's fazl, really nothing is possible. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see the first step from you. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned this in Hadith Qudsi, that, O my servant, take one step to me and I will take 10 steps to you. Come to me walking, I will come to you running. Come to me one arm span, I will come to you two. So what does this mean? That you, Allah Azza wa Jal, has given you the feet, the body, the mind, the heart, the soul, intellect. He's already given you everything. Now the one thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see from you is effort. The first step. As soon as you take the first step, you will see Allah's help come. But Allah Azza wa Jal says, I will never purify the state of a person until they want to change themselves and they try to change themselves. So they have to take the first step, then Allah's fazl and help comes. When they don't take the first step, then the help will never come. But the help is already there. Which help is already here? The Quran is in every person's house. This is the help that has already come. The Holy Prophet ﷺ, his life has come, his sunnah has come. And it is very, very much documented. The mashayikh and the awliya are still present here today. Past 1400 years they've been present. They are still here. So then there's no shortcomings in terms of knowledge, in terms of facilities, in terms of access. There's no shortcoming. The person is then completely up to them. Do you want it? Do you not? It's up to you. You're given everything on a dish. So that rahmah, that aspect of rahmah is there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given everything. Now all Allah wants to see from you back is the effort. And if you do the effort, Allah will help even more and the nafs will become purified. And the real truth is that when we practice trying to attain good qualities, humbleness, love, sincerity, we are not the ones who attain them. It is really Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gives them after your striving. You do not attain anything. So the one who thinks I've attained something, he's not attained anything. Allah Azza wa Jal has given it after he's done some effort. Even then we attribute the effort to Allah Azza wa Jal. Even though my effort is not from me. My effort, even that is from Allah. So this is the correct mentality. So inshallah maybe two more questions and then we'll stop inshallah. Brother Qasim.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Jazakallah so much for the helpful points. My question is it true that one can do all the good deeds, all the mujahidah, all at once, like intensively, and then remain at that level and maintain oneself? Or is it always wisdom to do it a bit at a time against the nafs?
The person should only do that type of mujahidah which you mentioned first if the shaykh instructs it. If the shaykh has not instructed that type of mujahidah, striving, then they shouldn't do that because they will only harm themselves and they would rather give a bad impression of Islam to other people. And the impression of Islam is very, very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want difficulty for us. Like I just said to you, the person will think they've never been through hardship and they really haven't. Why? Because they don't see it as hard. So that extensive type of mujahidah, like Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullah did, they do that under the instruction of their mashayikh. But they don't ask for it, they are given it. And the mashayikh know that this person will do this and he will reach, he will be able to, that's why they give it. So don't put yourself through tremendous amount of struggle if you do not understand these things. You should always do it under the instruction of a teacher. Don't think that by listening to this you've now become like a scholar on Nafs or something, that you can go and do mujahada and do anything and purify it. You haven't. This is like doing a speech on how to do a brain surgery or a heart surgery. Do you think that any one of you will have permission to go and do heart surgery after listening to a heart surgery lecture? No. You need to stand next to the doctor doing heart surgery for many years, under his direct supervision, under his glance. And he will do it first, then you will do it. Then he will watch and you will do it. And many times that you get it right continuously, consecutively, then he will one day say, okay, now maybe you can teach others. Then you and then so on and so on. So don't think that I can go and practice everything straight away. A person needs their mashayikh and their teachers. And if they abandon them, then really the nafs has taken you away. So do you see, the person can misunderstand it instead. So do not be of those, inshallah. So yes, the normal striving, gradual is better, and the extreme type of mujahada only if the shaykh instructs a person, and that will be good for them. Yes.
One question was, you know, you're saying that you need to go and see the shaykh or somebody of knowledge to speak about what your issues are regarding your nafs, for example. But I remember someone talking about it earlier on during the day, that if you do bad things, do not tell other people, because you're making witnesses for yourself. And when you make, for example, if I commit a sin, Allah would normally have forgiven me for that sin. But once I make a witness, for example, if I tell yourself...
It's okay, I understand. So mashallah, it's fine. So so here the example is like a doctor. A patient goes to the doctor in a private room and mentions, I have such and such a disease or this problem or the symptoms. You won't mention the disease because you don't know the disease. You will mention the signs and symptoms. Signs are the things that other people can see. Symptoms are the things that you feel. That's the difference. So signs and symptoms. So you mention the signs and symptoms, and the doctor will give you a cure and a solution. Now, but you won't go and tell everybody else that these are my signs and symptoms. I have this disease and that disease and this symptom. You only tell the doctor. Why? Because the doctor will be the one to give you the cure and the solution, so that tomorrow, a week later, a month later, you can be cured. And if you don't tell a doctor, you will remain with the disease maybe for the rest of your life. So this is the one exception with the shaykh, with the teacher, the guide. The person can mention their problems, because here you're not mentioning it for boasting. Remember, it was about boasting, about the sins that was what the person would be punished for. Here a person is mentioning it to become cured from it. They're seeking help, they're seeking a solution. So here it's allowed for them to mention, and the shaykh will give them the advice and the guidance and the solution. And the teacher will never think bad of you. Remember, this is a problem that many people have, and they think, I can't see my teacher because I think he's going to think bad of me. They will never think lowly of you. They will always think lowly of themselves and highly of you. That thought that, oh, the teacher will think lowly of me, that is coming from really shaitan. Why? Because shaitan uses that to keep you away. He knows this thought will keep you away, so he makes you think the shaykh will think lowly of you. Don't go and tell him. Rather, you should be going to him when you have the big problems, and when you have no problems, no illnesses as such, that's the time not to go. People do it the other way around. When they have no problems, they say, I'm doing very well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Then they go and see their teacher when they think they're in a good state. And when they think they're in a bad state, they hide. Let me tell you, the one who thinks he's in a good state is really in a bad state. And the one who thinks he's in a bad state, more likely he's in a good state, because he's thinking lowly of himself. So with the teacher it's allowed. And then the second thing to mention regarding that is, you don't have to mention the exact sin. You could just say that, Hazrat, I have a problem with my eyes. That is enough to tell for the teacher to give you a solution. You could say, I have a problem with interest, or I have a mortgage, or I have evil thoughts. And you don't need to say what the evil thoughts are. The companions, radiallahu anhum, they mentioned this